Welcome. Today, we're diving deep into the incredible events of John chapter 18. And we're going to explore this amazing paradox, how a moment that looks like total weakness and arrest in a garden is actually a display of the most profound and ultimate power you can imagine. It all kicks off with this unbelievable moment. I mean, just picture it. You've got this huge force, maybe hundreds of armed soldiers and temple guards with torches, all coming to arrest just one man. And with two simple words, I am he sends them all flying backwards, flat on the ground.
So that's the big question, isn't it? It just doesn't seem to add up. But this question is really at the heart of everything we're going to unpack today. As we walk through this chapter, you'll see that even in chains, Jesus is in absolute, total control. So our story starts in a garden, a place that was familiar to Jesus and his disciples, a place of fellowship. But tonight, it's about to become the scene of a deep betrayal and an even deeper act of sovereign will.
Now, this is no surprise ambush. Jesus knows exactly what's coming. Judas, his own disciple, uses his inside knowledge of this private place to betray him. And you have the full force of the world, both the political power of Rome and the religious power of the temple, all united against him. But does Jesus hide? No, he steps forward to meet them head on. He is willingly walking right into the plan his Father has set out.
And let's zero in on that phrase, I am he, because this is so important. In the original Greek, the words are ego eimi, and that is so much more than just saying, yep, that's me. This is the very phrase used for the divine name of God back in the Old Testament. It's a straight-up declaration of his deity, and he says it with so much raw power that a detachment of trained soldiers literally collapses in front of him. And right here, you see this incredible clash between two totally different kingdoms. On one side, you have Jesus, demonstrating spiritual power by submitting to God's will, what he calls the cup. And then you've got Peter, who represents the world's way. He reacts with fleshly power, right? He pulls out a sword, but Jesus immediately shuts him down, showing that this victory isn't going to be won with the world's weapons. Okay, so now the scene kind of splits, and we're going to follow two stories happening at the same time. One is a story of incredible courage, and the other is a story of complete collapse. So on the inside, Jesus, the one who spoke the universe into existence, allows himself to be tied up. He's dragged to this illegal sham trial in the dead of night. But when they question him, he doesn't play their games. He masterfully turns it around, pointing to his public teaching and demanding they follow their own laws and bring forth actual witnesses. He stands for truth, even when it gets him a slap across the face. But just outside that room, in the courtyard, a very different kind of trial is going on. Peter, the guy who just a few hours ago swore he'd die for Jesus, is now hanging back in the shadows. He's warming himself by a fire lit by his master's enemies. That is a dangerous, dangerous place to be.
And the test comes, but it's not from a soldier, it's not from a priest, it's from a servant girl. She just asks, "Hey, aren't you one of his disciples?" And Peter, the same man who was just swinging a sword, completely falls apart. "I am not."
And then the pressure builds. He's just standing there, trying to blend in, and other people start to recognize him. "You're one of them, right?" And again, Peter denies the very person he'd built his life around. "I am not."
The final accusation is the most direct. It's from a relative of the man whose ear Peter had just cut off. There's no way out, and for a third time, Peter denies Jesus. The man who trusted his own strength, the strength of his sword, finds he has absolutely no courage left. And in that very moment, a rooster crows. Jesus' prophecy comes true, and Peter's self-reliance is utterly shattered. It's such a powerful reminder that our own strength is just never enough. All right, so the action moves again. Jesus has been condemned by the religious leaders, and now he's brought before the ultimate worldly power, the Roman governor Pontius Pilate. This is where spiritual authority comes face-to-face with earthly empire. Pilate gets right to the point. He asks the political question, "Are you the king of the Jews?" And Jesus' answer is just stunning. He completely redefines what power and authority even mean, explaining that his kingdom plays by a whole different set of rules than Rome does. See, this is the core of it all. His kingdom isn't about earthly thrones or political takeovers. He says if it were, his servants would be fighting. And we're talking legions of angels. But no, his kingdom isn't built with swords and armies. It's built on truth, on love, and on the spiritual transformation of the human heart.
So Jesus says he came to testify to the truth, and Pilate fires back with maybe the most famous and most cynical question in all of history. What is truth? He asks it like there's no real answer, all while the literal living embodiment of truth itself is standing right in front of him. What a tragic missed moment. So now Pilate's in a tough spot. He knows Jesus is innocent, but the mob wants him crucified. So he tries to use a local custom, sort of a legal loophole, to get Jesus off the hook. And in doing so, he sets up one of the most powerful symbolic moments in the entire Bible. He offers the crowd a choice, a tradition they had for the Passover feast. He's going to release one prisoner to them. The choice he gives them could not be more clear. On one hand, you have Jesus, the man Pilate himself has just declared has done nothing wrong, innocent. And on the other, you have a man named Barabbas, a murderer, a violent rebel. And get this, the name Barabbas ironically means son of the Father. So the crowd gets a choice between the true, perfect son of the Father and this false one. And the choice they make is just chilling. In one unified voice, they shout for the guilty man to be set free and for the innocent man to be condemned. They choose the robber over the Redeemer. And you have to understand, this isn't just something that happened 2,000 years ago. It's a living picture of the gospel itself. Barabbas, he's a stand-in for every single one of us, guilty, deserving death. But he's set free because the innocent one, Jesus, willingly steps in to take his place. That is the great exchange of the cross. So after walking through all of that, what does this intense story mean for us right here, right now? Well, it all comes back to that clash we saw at the very beginning, that clash between two kingdoms. This whole chapter leaves us with a really deep personal question. When you're under pressure, when things get hard, which kingdom do you live by? Do you react like Peter did, with the world's sword of fear and self-reliance? Or do you respond like Jesus, choosing the cup of submission to God's will, trusting in the power of his kingdom of truth? Pilate asked, what is truth? This chapter shows us that truth isn't just an idea we debate. Truth is a person we follow. Now, to really let these ideas sink in, make sure you use the flashcards to go back over the key terms we talked about. And when you're ready, take the quiz to test what you've learned and finish up this lesson. Thanks for digging into this with me.